Hey, hi, hello. Thanks for joining us today on Collide. On today's show, we'll be interviewing John Armstrong of Pigasus Pictures in the Bloomington Academy of Film and Theater. Today is September 16th, 2020, and we are knee-deep in COVID. So you notice John wearing a mask, and we sit rather far apart during the interview. This is a phenomenon currently known as social distancing. We've got a full interview / casual conversation with John about the story of his company, Pigasus Pictures, and where it fits in the film industry, as well as Bloomington Academy of Film and Theater, BAFT, which is a project-based school open to all ages of aspiring actors, producers, video techies, etc. So, we're going to try out this YouTube show. Here we go. Hey, John.
Hey, Sam.
Hey, hi, hello. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, all things considered. How are you today?
Cool. Pretty good, all things considered, yeah.
Good. Great.
Well, thanks for coming on Collide today. This is our first video Collide. I'm excited to share that with the world.
Thanks for taking some interest. I'm happy to share our story.
And we're doing a pretty lo-fi method of doing it. I'm doing all the video and editing myself.
I won't judge.
Great. And yeah, because I'm a little worried. Here we are at the Bloomington Academy of Film and Theater. Hopefully I'll learn a few things today.
Sure. I'll show you around.
Okay, cool. And so let's just dive into it. So what would you say you do here?
Well, I wear a few hats. Pigasus actually has two companies. We have Pigasus Pictures, which is the for-profit movie company where I'm the COO and co-owner, and then Pigasus Institute, which is our nonprofit arm, of which I am the executive director.
Cool. And so Pigasus is kind of a big deal. You've had a couple big films.
Yeah.
If everyone remembers the couple celebrities. Yeah, The Good Catholic and was it Danny Glover?
Danny Glover and
around
John
town,
C. McGinley, for The Good Catholic.
So tell us about those films.
Yeah, we've had 4 feature films now in as many years, so we've been going at a pretty good pace.
What does feature film mean anyway?
It means full length.
Okay.
Full-length film, as opposed to
on.
a short film. And it's a narrative feature film, which means it is fiction. So the first one was The Good Catholic, and we filmed that movie in, the years are ticking on now, 2016. I think that's correct. Yes, 2016. It released in 2017. That's when we filmed Ms. Whitelight, which is our second film. It stars Judith Light and John Ortiz. That one releases this year, October 6th. So look for on all your streaming channels, Amazon, iTunes, cable on demand, DirecTV, anywhere you can rent or buy movies. Make sure you watch Ms. Whitelight, October 6th or sometime thereafter. And then our third movie was called The Miseducation of Bindu, which stars David Arquette. That one releases next year. And then our most recent film was called So Cold the River, based on the novel by Michael Corita, Bloomington native and favorite. And that one will release next year as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
So all these they take a long time.
They do. Yeah, every film is about a 2-year labor of love. We're actually going into production for a 5th film in 2 weeks. We've been able to create a COVID bubble in Indianapolis. So our 5th film is happening in a few weeks. And from conception to distribution, it's about 2 years.
Wow. Yeah, because I've seen the Ms. Whitelight design all over your website. I didn't realize that it wasn't out yet.
Right. There's a lot of things about the cycle of a film that are determined for you, which are the festival circuit is a big part of it, like what kind of festivals you want to go to, and that's a year process. And then your distributor will determine what time of year is best for your release. So, yeah, that one took a little bit longer from production to market, but hopefully we can still make a big splash.
Cool. That leads me to a segment of the show I like to call the Distribution Disco.
Oh.
How do people get what you do? Yeah, because
I love that.
When I had my own business, I learned like distribution was like the main thing. Like you can be doing the coolest stuff, but if no one gets it,
right?
Like distribution, like of your messaging and your marketing and stuff, but then also of your actual physical or media product. How do you distribute? So you have a third-party distributor.
Yeah.
And like, is that a name that any of us will recognize? Is that that's like not Warner Bros? Like you're a Warner Bros, right? Or
we are Warner Brothers. Yeah. We're almost as big.
Right.
Yeah.
Are they a film company like you?
They're a studio. So they're a studio, and we are a production company. And then you have certain parties that are simply distributors, which will take content and get it on your platforms. So there are different entities that do things a little bit differently.
And so your distributor they're the ones getting you onto all the different streaming platforms, right? So you don't have to worry about that.
That's right.
But you pay them either a cut or a flat fee, probably. And then
Exactly. The rising of streaming platforms, transactional, we call them TVOD, transactional video on demand, as opposed to SVOD, subscription video on demand, which would be Netflix. The rise of that has allowed companies like mine to really play in the market, which has been awesome. And although there is a huge saturation of content, we actually have shelf space, which previously people didn't really have, because you couldn't.
What do you mean by that?
Well, like Amazon and iTunes and like platforms are now the shelf. They're the store, and you can't just like make your own independent cereal and go to Kroger and say, "Will you put this on the shelf?" They won't. They can't do that, and the space is limited. But within the digital space, those shelves at Amazon and iTunes are infinite, and we can place ourselves on the shelf. And through marketing and PR, hopefully people will see it. So we don't get that walk-by shopping that you get in the store. Sometimes you do. You can get good placement. But for the most part, you have to drive that traffic yourself. But at least you can deliver your film to an audience where they can actually engage with it.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a thing when I interviewed earlier a guy from Ben from Secretly.
Oh, yeah, Swanson, yeah.
And, yeah, Ben Swanson. He talked about like distribution because everyone can put it on iTunes or whatever. Distribution was even more important now to kind of make it more relevant and just be seen.
Yeah. Yes, that was kind of our early learning curve. Was we learned how to deliver a film, and we call that distribution and delivery are a little different in our world. But we learned how to deliver a film to a distributor. Then the distributor has the ability to put it out. But independent filmmakers can also get their own content onto Amazon. Through using an aggregator, you can literally self-distribute now, the same way that you can self-publish and self-distribute a book. So it's, again, really awesome that people can do that, but it comes down to the economics. So if you don't really have a marketing budget, then how much money can you spend on the film and hopefully be able to see a return and spread the word at the same time without spending money on marketing? So it's still tricky economically to navigate, but again, 10 years ago, when things were only, 10 years ago? I'm not really sure. I guess time is ticking on. But when all we had was HBO, movie theaters, and Blu-ray, companies like mine wouldn't have a chance to play in the space. But now we do.
Yeah, so I guess to kind of sum it up for other either film people or whatever, a distributor is good. It's helpful. It's worth it.
Yeah, they certainly are. They have relationships that most independent filmmakers don't have. So having someone who can take your film and put it on those shelves is really, really valuable.
Cool. So that's all about Pigasus Pictures.
Yeah.
Which is it's a for-profit entity thing, film company. And then the other thing that happens here in this building is the Academy.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's a nonprofit?
It is. Pigasus Institute is our 501c3. And it does a few things, but one of them is a DBA, doing business as, well, literal subsidiary of Pigasus Institute is the Bloomington Academy of Film and Theater. And this endeavor was really started by us and Cook Group. They saw the work that we were doing, and they were really supportive and wanted to see more of that done, especially in Bloomington. So they engaged with us and said, what can we do to help? And obviously having a base, having a studio would be really important, and access to gear so that we could lower costs on feature films and also create alternative revenue streams through rentals and education. So that was kind of the basic business plan. Rentals, education, and producing films. And it was kind of a gamble, but we opened Indiana responded in February 2019. Hoosier had been someone who thought that
so just over
going
a year,
to the coast was kind of a necessary evil.
Cool. I
was so proud
with John a while ago.
Was so
I didn't realize it was that fresh.
And excited.
That's cool.
And embraced us and helped us so much. If you think of the iteration of our company, was the first time my business partner and I sat down and had a beer and talked about making a movie was 2014. So it's been an incredible 6 years. a number of feature films, and all this has happened pretty quickly. So, yeah, it's hard to believe it's only been a year and a half since the building opened, but yeah, we've been cranking it out.
And so you said Cook Group, they donated a lot of money, I guess?
Yes, they have.
And so that's for the nonprofit. How do you raise money for a for-profit film? Do you have a bunch of like investors? Do you have angel investors, or how does that work?
We have a ton of investors of every type. For the first film, we raised money only
crowdsource, like small scale. Is crowdsourcing, or is it all big chunks of money?
The minimum is $5,000, really, to get involved. And so for The Good Catholic, we did that as an independent one-off film. So Pigasus Pictures is a management company, and The Good Catholic is an LLC. It's its own asset. And so you create your PPMs, your operating agreements, your subscription documents, just like you would for any other startup, and you garner investment. And you have to have a business plan. You got to show people how you're going to get the film to market, how you're going to try to monetize it, and certainly outline the risk, because it's a high-risk, high-reward type of industry. And then find those people that have a specific interest in seeing that project done. And in our world, they're more passion projects than anything else. People, hope the films do amazing, and they hope they're able to see a nice return on the investment. But at the very least, they want to see filmmaking happen in Indiana. And so a large majority of our investors come from Indiana. And that's how we were able to bootstrap our first film and get it done. For the films beyond that, we created a new model. We figured out how to create a private equity fund. So we have our own PE fund called the Indiana Film Fund. And it's engineered a little bit differently than traditional private equity funds, but it allows us to raise money into a fund and produce several films at once. So we don't have to reinvent the financial vehicle every single time we want to make a film. And it diversifies investment for the investor, mitigates risk. So we've been working on the film fund since 2017 and working from the film fund, I should say, since 2017. It will sunset this year, and it will have 4 assets, 4 movies.
Cool.
Yeah.
A little over my head. But,
mine too. They didn't teach that in acting school.
Yeah.
I got my...
Diversify your portfolio. I heard that.
Diversify your portfolio. That was not taught in my MFA acting program.
Yeah.
But it's amazing what you can learn when when your hair's on fire and you're trying to figure out how to start a business.
Cool. Great. What other questions we were going to talk about? The Academy. So who gets to go to the Academy? Who's this for?
The Academy is really a collaboration. The initial idea for the Academy itself really came kind of organically when I moved back to Bloomington in 2017. We decided to make Indiana the focus of our film company. Zach Spicer, my business partner, and I started it in New York. And once Indiana became the focus, I moved back. And I have a long history in teaching theater specifically, but also acting for camera in universities and at the New York Film Academy and all that. And so as part of trying to make a living in the startup world, I thought, I should probably coach and teach classes. But quickly I learned that a lot of people in town were doing that at different levels and different disciplines. So
I think you did some, how to be a better speaker classes for some folks at the Mill too, right?
Yeah. That's been part of the Mill. My last 2 years in New York, I was an executive coach. So I kind of got recruited out of the acting world to basically teach performance for non-performers.
So how to do a really good PowerPoint presentation?
I always say that a PowerPoint is a visual aid, but if you don't have vision, then it's all for nothing.
Ooh.
So you should be able to remember visual aid, not the vision. So being able to kind of craft narrative and to create vision for an audience, because you can have the best idea in the world for a new piece of technology that's going to solve so many problems. But if you can't communicate that, especially technology, because it's such an intangible kind of thing, then, it may not pick up. So I kind of found a niche being able to help people articulate these things, especially startups and people looking to raise money, because I had been doing that a lot too through the film world. So I wanted to do that, but also get back to my roots in acting and theater. And I quickly reconnected with, we have 2 wonderful professional theater companies in town, Cardinal Stage, which does contemporary and classical plays and musicals, and then the Bloomington Playwrights Project, which is dedicated to developing new work. And both programs had education, and so did the university and a couple of other organizations. And I just kind of said, hey, why don't we all come together and create one entity where people know where to go, and we can collaborate and work across disciplines and do something better together. And everyone was really keen on that idea. So this is really a partnership between Pigasus, Cardinal Stage, and the Bloomington Playwrights Project. And with our collective talent and brain power, it's been really successful. And it's available to anybody. We have classes from 7 to 77, and in all disciplines, from acting and musical theater and filmmaking to dance, animation. I really kind of co-opted the New York Film Academy model, which offers all those things under one roof. So we've just taken the most talented folks in town who know what they're doing and are great teachers, and brought them here, and I started to get people creating together.
Wow, that's awesome. How do you sign up though then?
Just through our website, www.
Is there a season or a school year?
No, everything is
work?
project based. We really try to stay away from the academic model because it's not really an academic place. We are production companies, both the theater companies and the film company, and so we want to produce work. So what we do is come up with, and right now there's a short film project. So we got actors and filmmakers all to kind of register for the same experience, and the actors are going to act, the filmmakers are making the product, and then we're going to create this film, showcase it, send it to festivals. So it's really hands-on, it's really practical, and we want to do that just on a rolling basis. So we don't really do, we did in the beginning sort of a traditional fall session 1, fall session 2, but we found that we were trying to sort of put a square peg in a round hole, because film projects need to be more intensive and take, a week or 2 weeks in focus rather than spread out, because you end up with continuity problems if you spread filming out over too long. And so, we just said, let's just figure out what we want the output to be, the deliverable, so to speak, and then reverse engineer it to create an experience out of it that people will maybe want to sign up and do for training, but also to build a resume. And so, we just kind of like follow social media, watch the website. We launch something new every month, every 6 weeks or so. And especially since the COVID crisis, that really helped us to rethink, because we didn't want to, people weren't making long-term commitments. And it kind of gets boring and stale, and you feel like you're going to a class and plugging in. And we're like, let's rethink that. So starting this fall, we really gone to that project model, and it's been great.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, how has COVID affected you guys? And like how's COVID affected the academy here and your classes and that kind of teamwork? And then also you mentioned the bubble of you were able to film a film within a bubble of COVID-free folks. Is that, I guess it's a two-part question, but
Sure.
is that like a thing that's happening right now? Are there lots of film crews that like bubble up, and like are things still being produced, or is that totally interrupted?
Well, COVID's been awesome.
Right.
I'm sure everyone's just loving COVID. No, but I think like a lot of people, it's kind of accelerated all of our progress in technology. And so when we were forced to close the doors, really, we wanted to move everything online. We didn't want to, cease operations. We want to create experiences for people. So at first, we really just did free content, just getting people out and showcasing and expressing themselves. But then we did some online classes, and they were really successful. And we were able to bring in people from outside of Bloomington who normally couldn't make the commute. So even moving forward, we're going to find some more hybrid models that allow people to be remote.
And so those classes are Zoom things, or are they more like a webinar? Or?
They were all Zoom. And then we did the Zoom showcase. So we edited together, like for musical theater, kids would perform and we give them feedback. And then we edit together that film into a cabaret. And kids were still able to get that, and adults were able to get that one-on-one experience that they get here. And it was pretty seamless. Of course, people love being in the studio, and we want to recreate that experience as well. But so in general, it forced us to adapt, find new ways of working, and in a lot of those ways, we will continue, as a lot of businesses have. When it comes to the film production, COVID has really just cut Hollywood off at the knees. First, because people couldn't go to movie theaters. So you saw all these big blockbuster movies were just, they pulled the plug on them. They weren't going to release them. And then they started trying to figure out how to monetize them transactionally, TVOD, and charge more. So I think one of the biggest releases right now is Mulan, which you can watch on Disney Plus, but you have to pay $30. So I don't know how that's going to play out for Hollywood, because big budget movies aren't meant to be viewed on small screens. So I think on the distribution side, it's cut things down. And then on the production side, from a safety standpoint, production shut down. We personally got very lucky because we were producing a film in January, February, and got finished right before the COVID crisis hit. So we got lucky. But it really just shut Hollywood down. And because of the scale of productions, it's been really hard for large productions to restart. The Screen Actors Guild has put in a lot of precautions if people do want to get back in production, the hurdles they have to take, which has added cost. And so people are still scrambling and grappling with it. Now, we got pretty lucky in that the film that we're shooting right now, a lot of it takes place in one location, in a mansion on a large estate. We were able to secure that location in Indianapolis. I can't tell you what it is yet, but it's awesome. And we also were able to house.
Is it Knives Out too?
It is Knives Out too. It's Knives. It's
That was a great movie.
It's Knives Re-Out.
Yeah, okay.
Knives Out again. No, it's a different one. It's.
Can you tell us what genre or? Is it...
It's a comedy.
Cool.
It's a comedy. It's got a really good cast.
I can't really do serious stuff.
Not right now. People need to
Definitely
laugh.
not right now.
People need to laugh. So yeah, on this big estate, we're able to house all the cast and crew. We have a lot of connections because Indiana is the whole state is a real community. We have some connections in the medical profession, so we got all the testing for free. Cook is helping us out with all the PPE. So the actors are coming in. We're quarantining for 10 days. Everyone will test 3 times a week, and it's just like the NBA. Like, you're in the bubble, and you don't leave. And it should work out just fine.
For like future viewers, PPE, personal protective equipment. It's something we're dealing with right now.
Yes.
Shields and masks.
Yeah, we have our masks. We have them here.
I didn't actually say that. We do have our masks off. We are inside.
We're inside. We're socially distant.
We're a good 6 feet at least away.
Yeah. So I think we're being good citizens.
Anyway, that's great that it worked out in a mansion and it was a little bubble. So that's cool.
we got really lucky. We got lucky. We were able to do it. And honestly, it was a Hollywood production, an independent Hollywood production that was slated to go into production in Los Angeles, but because of the shutdown, they couldn't do it. We had a connection and said, "Hey, we can do this for you." So they pivoted, brought it to Indiana, and we were able to get this really great asset.
Well, that worked out. That's cool.
Yeah, it really did.
Yeah, I kind of want to wrap it up. But I guess I wanted to talk about Indiana. So you came from New York, or I think you were from
Indiana. Yeah, went to IU, did my degrees here, back and forth to the East Coast, but New York,
LA. Like, if you want to be anyone, you got to be in one of those cities. And like, I felt that as well. I lived in New York for a while. I was trying to be an artist, musician, rock and roll guy.
Yeah.
And ended up back here and love it. And we're here to stay.
Yeah.
But so like, on your website and everything, you've got Indiana based.
Yeah.
And so that seems very intentional. So like,
100%.
And how does the rest of the world, like, does New York and LA kind of laugh at that? Or are they like into it? And how does that work?
No, they don't. They don't laugh at it because there are large production hubs all over the world now, all over the country now. And Atlanta is big, is Hollywood East, So and movies go to where the locations demand. So especially in the film world, no one really cares. They're used to traveling and going other places. So that's been pretty seamless, to be honest. For us, it was about carving out a niche for ourselves in an industry that is, so full of filmmaking, and we just happen to be from a state that doesn't have a tax incentive for filmmaking like other states do, and so it's kind of devoid of film production. And we said, hey, if we can go and start from scratch and cultivate our team and do something newsworthy, then maybe we can garner support, raise money, get some organic marketing, and really kind of ingratiate ourselves to a community and do right by a community and invest in a community the way that theater companies do. And it was kind of a gamble, but Indiana responded. And being a Hoosier, someone who thought that going to the coast was kind of a necessary evil, I was so proud that Indiana was so open and excited and embraced us and helped us so much. So, without Bloomington, without the community, and certainly Bloomington, the Good Catholic would never have happened. And without the support of a lot of people in Indiana, our company just wouldn't exist.
Cool. Last, you mentioned team. We haven't really talked about your team. You said there was a Zach.
Yep, Zach Spicer.
Zach Spicer. Mm-hmm. He sounds important.
He's my business partner.
How many folks work here?
There are 3 owners of our company: Zach Spicer, myself, and Gordon Strain, all buddies from our days back at IU. And then we have several people in different positions for the nonprofit and the for-profit. We have a managing director here at the Pigasus Institute named Eric Shelley, and a number of teaching artists. We work with the theater companies and share some marketing responsibilities with Cardinal Stage. And then on the feature film side, really we have it's a lot of independent contractors, because you kind of have to start a new business every time you do a movie. And so we hire the people, we create the product, and then they go on to their next shoot and their next commercial, and then we bring them back together for our film. So we have a team that comes back together that loves to work with us, but we're not at a full-time salaried studio yet. I mean, that would be incredible someday. But for now, we're able to make a go of it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, John. Do you have anything else you want to mention?
No, other than please go to
October 6th
for Ms. Whitelight. Yep. Go to Facebook and Instagram and follow us and keep up, and please support independent film in Indiana.
And on Instagram, is it Pigasus Pictures?
Yes.
Or BAFT?
Pegasus Pictures. We have the BAFT.
Okay.
For Facebook and Instagram, and there's a lot of.
Oh, you know what? 2 more quick. Well, one quick and one other. I noticed it's the English spelling theatre. Is that?
So the.
I just wanted to comment on that.
They're interchangeable, but the idea is this spelling is the art of, and the ER is the physical space.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Yeah, that's kind of how
I'm glad I asked that question.
Yeah.
Number 2, we'll wrap it up on is you mentioned earlier, your unofficial saying is dreams aren't dumb.
Dreams aren't dumb.
Did you have some dumb ones, or what made you think why do you have to come back?
It actually came out, I think Zach had a fight with a girlfriend at one point, and because he was kind of spending every dime he had on this, and he said, this is my dream, and she said, dreams are dumb. But then at the premiere of our first film, she came up and said, dreams aren't dumb.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
And the last thing people ask about is the Pigasus.
Right. I better
people
ask
have asked about the pig.
Yeah, I didn't even ask about the pig.
Yeah, people ask about the pig. John Steinbeck, on the inside of all the John Steinbeck novels, there is a Pigasus, a flying pig, with a quote that says, lumbering souls striving to fly with not enough wing spread, but plenty of intention. And my business partner is a big literary buff and a John Steinbeck fan, so Pigasus it was.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, well, thanks again.
Thank you for taking the time.
Thanks for colliding with us. Collision.
I will collide with you distantly. Anytime.
And yeah, we'll see you on the internet, cool. YouTube at The Mill.
Yeah, and reach out to us if you have any questions, comments, or if you want to participate in any of our programs here. We'd love to have you.
Cool. Find Pigasus Pictures and the Bloomington Academy of Film and Theater and The Mill. I think you're supposed to say like and subscribe below.